At the beginning, when Sex and Violence opens the film with these sounds and exactly the way your voice comes in and the words you hear, it just set the stage so well for this film. Through the song, that song takes us right into the realm of the year 1999, which by then was the future, which is funny now, 20 years after.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi there.
The near future is maybe the hardest to imagine. Some things will be the same, and some things will be different. You're not inventing a complete fantasy, just a few things.
It's the riskiest thing to imagine because you can be very quickly proven wrong. All right, but that's only sheer luck, probably. All these media theorists from the 20th century, from the end of the 20th century, or from the 20th, I think they'd all completely be overwhelmed today. They didn't foresee that in their wildest dreams.
Yeah. The
They
people will
could
be.
not, yeah.
Hi, Jane.
Hello, Claire.
Guess what? I need
It's all mobile, it's all floating in the air, it's all available, and most people today are totally overwhelmed with contemporary output. And it's getting more because there's more and more outlets that produce and that keep producing so much stuff that I don't even know if they actually see what all the stuff they produce themselves.
We may go with maybe Marshall McLuhan and that kind of thing, where I feel that with the availability of images everywhere, where online and films, television, videos, everything else, I feel like we become a bit of a pre-literate society. It's easier to understand text because you just say it and that's what it means. I believe that we have an innate understanding of images. It's harder to say what an image means, but I think we feel what an image means.
Instead, Claire recorded some of her journey through China for me.
I knew he was at a Talking Heads show in London many years ago, many decades ago. So that was exciting for me. If it's a
We did meet backstage.
Yeah, I believe this will tell you how long ago it was. I think you two might have been the opening act.
I had all their records. I even bought remixes and remasterings. I think I have every piece of vinyl or digital ever produced, and I was a hardcore fan. And when I had to make up my mind who I wanted to ask for being involved in Till the End of the World, I think David was one of the first I approached. And I think I did send you a piece of script or something.
Yes, I definitely had something to refer to. I don't know if it was an entire rough script or a synopsis or just the beginnings. But I based certainly the lyrics and the mood of the song on that. Sometimes writing the lyrics is very hard. I do it as much based on the sound of the words as the meaning. Sometimes it's a very happy moment when the sound and the meaning comes together. And they're all saying the same thing, but the sound to me is very important. Where the melody hits the vowels and the consonants and all these kinds of things. I feel like there's a kind of primal language that you're dealing with before the kind of literal meaning. As a musician, you never know if it's going to work. You might do it and the director may say, well, it's a nice song, but the tone doesn't work anymore. You never know.
You have that happen?
Oh, I've had that happen.
Well, but your face is one of the first face in the film. It's on the screen and this opens and then you're just a black silhouette. We shot it off an HD monitor and that was still prototype equipment at the time. And we produced that video on HD. I don't know if you remember, we were somewhere here downtown in the studio.
Yes, because I think it was about getting some of the other Talking Head band members in
Yeah.
to be present in the video as our heads, at least. Yeah.
Apropos, David was very lucky because his song wasn't cut down a second. The opening scene is the very same in the long version. Everything was still cool. Afterwards, it started getting jumpy. But sex and violence is the same in the short version as in the director's cut.
A lot of the writing takes place in a spare bedroom that I have in my apartment. I'll just lock myself in there and work for a few hours, 3 or 4 hours, and that's about as much as I can do in a day. And then I'll clear my head and do something else. And then I come back to it the next day or something. And I'll kind of be by myself a lot until I get to a point where I feel like, okay, I've sketched it out. There it is. Now I can bring in collaborators or technical people or whatever, because they might be able to get a sense of what it is.
Yeah, that's very much the case with movies. Because there's a lot of people working on a movie and in different capacities, obviously. So, and you have to trust them and you have to sort of pass it on. It's like you started a flame and you have to, it goes through many hands and you're the one guy who has to make sure it never blows out. But you have to give it to other people. I've never been in a band, but I've always thought that was the ideal form of communication, to be in a band together.
I think it's very similar. You have a group of collaborators and creative people who will interpret what you've done or the idea that you've come up with. And sometimes that works really well, and you have a little team that understands what it is you do.
And that is, I think, the greatest. If you can do something with other people and just you do it together and you don't have to discuss it anymore. That is the greatest happiness sometimes, I feel. If you can do things with people and you're working on the same thing and it just flows together and you don't have to explain yourself. And I think that's my dream of a band, that it's an organic thing. But then again, maybe I'm just romantic.